So what if I told you that in just 10 years, a country that was once called fragile has, well, quietly become the world's fastest growing major economy? And no, this isn't some hypothetical. It's the real story of India over the last decade. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all the noise and really look at the data behind this pretty incredible transformation.
Let's just rewind the clock for a second. Go back just one decade. In 2014, the headlines were not great. India was actually part of the Fragile Five, a group of economies that were basically teetering on the brink. Its global ranking had just plummeted. But now, look at the picture today. It is a complete 180. We're talking about the fastest growing major economy on the entire planet, and it's got its sights set on that number 3 spot. This isn't just some recovery. It's a fundamental reshaping of the global economic order.
Okay, so a rise this fast, it just begs the question, right? Is this a genuine, deep-seated transformation, or is it just a masterclass in political branding? To figure that out, we've got to look beyond the headlines and really dig into the evidence.
So, first up, the economic turnaround. How exactly did India pull off this stunning reversal? Let's dive right into the engine room of this transformation and see what's really driving all this growth.
And this right here, this is basically India's secret weapon. It's people. I mean, think about it. While other huge economies like the US or Japan are dealing with aging populations, India is home to the world's largest and youngest workforce. That's what they call a demographic dividend, and it's a once-in-a-generation kind of opportunity. But, it's also a double-edged sword. To unlock all that potential, you have to create jobs and opportunities on an absolutely massive scale.
And here's a big part of how they're trying to do it. A program called Mudra has pumped a staggering $360 billion with a B in collateral-free loans directly into the hands of aspiring entrepreneurs. And a huge portion of them are women. So see, this isn't just about creating jobs, it's about fostering a whole new generation of job creators.
But okay, to fuel this kind of entrepreneurial boom, you absolutely need a healthy banking system. And just a decade ago, India's banks were, well, they were on life support, totally crippled by bad loans. So the government stepped in with this bold 4-part rescue plan. First, merge the weak banks. Second, crank up the transparency. Third, go after the defaulters. And fourth, recapitalize the core banks. And the result? A truly remarkable turnaround. I mean, banks that were once struggling are now posting record profits and, you guessed it, fueling the next wave of growth.
All right, Section 2, a tech and infrastructure leap. With the economic engine really firing on all cylinders, India then turned its attention to building the foundations for a 21st century economy, a world-class tech and infrastructure ecosystem.
And this is where you can really see the scale of India's ambition. The Aadhaar digital identity system covers nearly 1.4 billion people. That's the largest biometric database in the entire world. It's the bedrock of this new digital public infrastructure that's basically letting India leapfrog over old traditional development models. We're talking about enabling everything from seamless digital payments to getting government benefits sent directly to people.
So you see, India isn't just playing catch-up anymore. It's aiming to jump straight into the future. We're talking about a Mars mission that literally costs less than a Hollywood blockbuster. Ambitious bets on things like green hydrogen, artificial intelligence, even quantum computing. The message here is crystal clear. India is no longer content to just be a consumer of technology. It is determined to become a creator.
And this quote from Narendra Modi really sums up the driving force behind this whole push for self-reliance. India shouldn't depend on any other country for critical materials. Simple as that. From defense manufacturing to securing critical minerals, the end goal is to build a future where India is the master of its own destiny.
Okay, let's move on. Section 3, India on the world stage. Because all of this newfound economic and tech muscle, well, it's totally reshaping India's place in the world. So let's explore how the nation is stepping out onto the global stage with this new sense of confidence and purpose.
For most of its history, India followed a path of non-alignment, basically steering clear of global power struggles. But in the world we live in today, which is getting more and more polarized, that's just not an option anymore. As the rivalry between the US and China heats up, India has emerged as this absolutely pivotal player, a democratic counterweight in Asia that, frankly, everyone wants in their corner.
And this shift on the world stage, it's happening alongside a kind of cultural renaissance at home. There's this movement called Swadeshi, which is basically a call to embrace all things Indian, and it's having a huge resurgence. Now, this isn't about closing off from the world. It's about a nation rediscovering its own confidence and sharing its incredible cultural heritage. Everything from the amazing colors of its festivals to the now global phenomenon of International Yoga Day.
All right, section 4, let's talk about the challenges and the final questions. Because look, no transformation on this scale is ever perfect. To get the full picture, we have to look at the serious questions and the criticisms that have come up right alongside India's rise. This whole period of rapid change has, not surprisingly, come with intense debate and a lot of controversy. Critics are raising some really serious concerns. They point to things like a rise in divisive rhetoric, a feeling among minority communities that they're being marginalized, a shrinking space for dissent, and a media landscape that many feel is becoming less and less independent. Now, these are incredibly complex, deeply contested issues, and they are an undeniable part of India's story right now.
But even with these internal challenges, India's journey offers a really powerful alternative to the development model that's dominated the last few decades. For years, right, the world just watched as China's, let's call it authoritarian capitalism, delivered staggering growth. India's trying to forge a different path. It's a grand experiment, really, to see if a messy, loud, vibrant democracy can achieve that same kind of prosperity, but while holding on to values like freedom and individual liberty.
And make no mistake, the stakes here could not be higher. We're talking about a country with 1.4 billion people. What happens in India affects nearly 1 out of every 5 human beings on this planet. So its destiny is completely linked to the future of all of us. Its successes, its failures, they're going to have a massive impact on everything from the global economy to our fight against climate change.
Which brings us to the big, critical questions. The ones that won't just define India's future, but could really shape the entire 21st century. First up, can this incredible momentum last for another 2 decades? Or are there major roadblocks just around the corner? And what about the economic benefits? Will this rising tide of prosperity actually lift all boats? Or will it just make the gap between the haves and have-nots even wider?
And finally, I think it all boils down to this one fundamental question. Can a nation as vast and impossibly diverse as India prove to the world that democracy isn't a barrier to development, but is actually a catalyst for it? The world is absolutely watching, and the answer to that question, well, it's going to echo far, far beyond India's borders. It might just shape the future of democracy itself.